Hello, my name is Paula, I'm Irish and I'm here in Australia on a working holiday visa. So in this video I'm going to talk all about farm work, regional work, the 88 days in order to get your second year visa if you want to stay here in Australia. I really recommend getting it out of the way with straight away because a lot of people come here and think they're just going to be here for a year, but trust me, Australia is amazing. Yeah, so I went straight to a place about 2.5 hours outside of Brisbane called Stanthorpe. I stayed at a working hostel and I was really fortunate in that the owners of the hostel actually found the job for me. So I worked in an apple packing shed. I arrived on a Monday to the hostel and on a Wednesday they had the job for me, which was amazing. It meant that my farm work was pretty much 3 months exactly. So in the apple shed I worked 45 to 50 hours a week, which sounds like a lot, but when you think about staying in the middle of nowhere, there's pretty much nothing to do. So I really appreciated getting in those hours because it meant that I had a lot of money leaving the hostel. Also, when you do regional work, because it's so labour intensive, instead of the minimum wage being $21 per hour, it's actually 26 or 27, so it is really good money when you think about it. One tip I recommend when you are doing your farm work is that you find a job that isn't weather dependent, because if you are working, say, in construction and you get rained off, that could mean that you're rained off for a week, if not more. Because I worked in a shed, that never happened to me. I was in on rainy days when it was thunder and lightning. There was a day that it was hailstoning, and yeah, it was never an issue for me. I was never super hot because I was in a shed, so it was grand. So the way the 88 days works is you need to reach 35 hours a week, if not more. So you could be working Monday to Friday. I worked Monday to Saturday, that was how my job was. But you need to get the 35 hours from Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday or whatever shifts you do in order for it to count as 7 days. Because if you get less than 35 hours a week, you can maybe only count it as 4 or 5 days. So that's one thing to know. The great thing about staying at a hostel is you have the social element there. On Saturdays after work, we would all chill out in the kitchen, listen to some music, drink, play beer pong, and yeah, it was good crack. It was really nice to be able to connect with people who maybe you weren't working with, because as it turns out I was only working with 2 girls from the hostel, so I couldn't meet as many people through work. Yes, another pro, being in the middle of nowhere, we just got really great sunsets where I was. I don't know if it's just being away from the city lights or what, but they were really beautiful most nights. Then another amazing thing about staying in the outback of Australia is that you could see some animals that I had never even heard of, such as an echidna, which is like a giant hedgehog. And some of the cons were the work was hard. I would come back and if I blew my nose, there was literally black stuff coming out of my nose, no joke. I thought I was dying the first few weeks, but I think it was just the dust that was in the shed, crazy amount of dust. Also, the first 2 weeks, my lower back was killing me, but everyone did say that to me. I think it's because you're working muscles that you'd never normally work. If you are staying in a hostel, I was lucky to stay in a private room with my boyfriend, but if you're staying in a dorm, you have to note that people are getting up at earlier times maybe than you, people might be going to bed later than you, so that's one con maybe about staying in a hostel. Because I don't know how to drive a car, I felt very I felt very dependent on my boyfriend or on anyone else who was able to drive, because to get anywhere, to get to the local supermarket, you would have to drive. The video is going to include some of my favourite times.
wanna do me something The horse have got new shoes and the cowgirls have got new hairdos and they are running record times. Oh shit!
Just heard something in the garden.